That's right, folks. It's Sunday. Happy Mother's Day. Come on in. No chat reading today. Sorry, this program was pre-recorded. But we wish you all happy Mother's Day. We wouldn't miss an episode of Sunday Funnies unless it was an emergency. And the wife suddenly wanted to do something early this morning for Mother's Day. So I guess we'd just record instead of just not have an episode. So thanks for being here, folks. The chat is open. Please be nice. As we talk about the greatest comics of all time. Because I couldn't think of anything else. And we'd already done old farts talking comics. So there you go, folks. Here's an opening. There we are. And if you are watching that, for me, those are the greatest comics of all time. So here we are. And that's my personal list. So I don't have to speak the rest of the program. There we go. Except for those three that I did myself. The rest of them, classics.
They're the best ones.
Look them all up and enjoy them to your heart's content, because I sure did. Thanks for being here, folks. I'm your host, Randy Zimmerman. I've been doing comics since the mid-'80s. Yeah, long before some of you have been born. So just always loved comics, always took to comics, learned how to draw. I got a book from my uncle when I was 8 and just kept going at it. And now I do sequential art wherever I can, whenever I can, when I'm not doing regular commercial work, which is like cutting vinyl for signs or printing T-shirts and that kind of stuff. I do comics. So I love it. And you can go over to aerocomics.store right now and see some of that work. That includes that HeroBot Zero picture you saw flash by earlier. That book's available over there, as well as Spank the Monkey Paragon. It's available over there. Spank the Monkey's got a couple of PDF files that I've colorized over there. Calico is over there. Go over there and look. Plus, I have a campaign I'm running right now over at fundmycomic.com for the Fool. And the easiest way to describe that is to run the little bumper opening that you find on the campaign. So we'll do that real quick. Arrow Comics is proud to present to you the fast-paced vigilante justice as only what is this guy dressed as? This is the Fool. This is the Fool from Arrow Comics, with great artwork by Chris Tyson, colors by Patrick Gamma, written and created by Randy Zimmerman. This guy runs around the city using practical joke weapons to fight crime, and the cops just want to get him off the street before he hurts somebody. You need to read this book. Available in its own individual campaign or part of Arrow Bundle number 2. Arrow Bundle number 1 is also available with the Fool campaign over at fundmycomic.com. Check it out. We were just stalling for time, Allison. We're on the air. So, or we're being recorded.
We're being recorded.
It's Mother's Day. So
yep, it's Mother's Day.
Brother is watching you.
Salute to all you mothers out there.
Yes, I will salute to my mother. I'm only the mother to small furry things. So.
There we are. Also joining us today is Mr. Glenn Fleming. Glenn, introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm a writer, artist, and publisher. I've been working in graphics for the past too long, and I've written many books. I've got a science fiction book here. These are all on Amazon. Iapetus Rising, that's one. I've written a book about the NASA astronauts who didn't go to the moon. I interviewed 3 of the moonwalkers there, men who walked on the moon. I've written this book about my dad's, I'll call them adventures on D-Day as a paratrooper in the 6th Airborne, British Airborne. That's written and illustrated by me. And I like to travel around the world. And one of the best places I've been to is Rapa Nui, which is Easter Island. And this book is about my journey there. Lots of photographs of all the you know, the why and all the stuff there. That's on Amazon. But out next week or so is this book from New Haven Publishing, which is in Waterstones, Barnes and Noble, all the good bookstores worldwide, also on Amazon. And it details my trips to Jack Kirby's house in the late 80s, early 90s. I also, soon from New Haven again, will be my Creation Hatch. I think you've all seen this before. This is the second book. This is coming out in the summer sometime. I'm not quite sure yet. And there's lots of other stuff to follow.
Great. When you interviewed the guys who walked on the moon, did they say how bouncy it was?
No.
How was your walk on the moon? My walk on the moon was bouncy.
No, well, what I do, you see, I don't ask that kind of a question. I don't, because you know, every time you see these astronauts when interviewed, everybody goes, "How do you go into the toilet?" You know, I mean, give me a break, you know. So no, I steer away from things like that. But this book is about the astronauts who didn't go to the moon, who would have probably gone to the moon, the ones who died in training and things like that, Chaffee and Ed White and Gus Grissom, that most people will have heard of, but there's 8 or 9 of them would have gone. So that, well, there they all are. So that is about those astronauts.
Guys, yeah.
And they were all their colleagues, and all the crews get mixed around and changed, and then people die and somebody else takes their part and all that kind of thing. It's quite fascinating. But I always when I do writing, I'm always trying to put a different spin on things because there's 6,000 books about the moon walk. What's that?
I said that there's also the Apollo 13 thing. So
what's that noise?
Oh, I have a fan on behind me.
I think it's a rocket taking off.
Yeah.
Yep, I have a fan on behind me. Sorry.
We're also joined by Allison. Allison, introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Allison, the Alley Cat. I'm also part of the Indie Comics Network. You can find me on Fridays with Arting with the Alley Cat. I'm on like all the social media stuff. And I'm also part of this wonderful crew and Sketchy Saturday. So I'll be jumping to that immediately after we're done with this, pretty much.
Yeah, we won't keep you very long. We just want to make an episode and talk about our favorite comics, the greatest comics of all time.
I can support that.
We can see that back behind you. You've got Akira.
Yes, one of my all-time favorites.
There
and
we
I have
are.
Battle Angel next to it. And then I have my all-purpose Trapper Keeper.
I think it's well documented that my favorite comic is Fantastic 451, so I'm not even going to talk about that one. I'm talk about some others.
Well, that's an amazing comic, to say the least.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, well, you know, it's to me, I've said before, it's the fact that it's between two of the greatest new characters in comics. You know, the Galactus and the Surfer and the Black Panther. Just a single issue, and I think it's Lee and Kirby at their finest. The artwork, the dialogue, the pacing of that just single story, absolutely wonderful.
This Man, This Monster.
Yes.
Yeah. I love that issue.
If there was one comic I'd like the art for, it would be that. If I could have any piece of it I'd do, but if I could have the entire run of that on the wall, 21 pages, including the cover, that would be wonderful. So I don't know where that artwork is. Jack's definitely can get it, but
That'd be a museum exhibition right there.
Yeah.
Right in your house.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
I was at a show one time many years ago, and Greg Theakston, I believe, was there, who had done some work with Kirby and did Pure Imagination Publishing for a while. And he had a set of easels set up all with Jack Kirby artwork on display.
Wow.
And this was back when the material was worth thousands.
Yeah.
You know, and not tens or hundreds of thousands like it is now. But wish I'd have taken some pictures back then.
Yeah. Well, when I went to Jack's house, I was going to ask him, you know, the cover of Hunger Dogs is a painting by Greg Theakston.
Okay.
It's an oil painting. And I was going to ask Jack how that was produced, whether it was directly on his pencils or whatever it was, you know. And I forgot to ask him. But we went into his lounge and the artwork was on an easel in his front room, in his lounge. So I then asked him about it, and then I found the pencil work. I said, it's in the book. I went in a little room with Jack and Roz, and they've just been taking delivery of these, these manila envelopes from DC and Marvel with all this artwork in. And I pulled out the pencil work of that New Gods cover, of that Hunger Dogs cover.
Yeah.
And it sort of answered the question, because I saw the oil painted in the lounge and I saw the pencils. It was all smudged at the top where the title would be. It looked real, it was real, but the smudging made it look really, really real. This is what I talk about original art for, because you don't get that when you do it on the screen. You just get a nice, pristine, perfect thing. But when you get the piece of artwork in your hands and the guy's touched it, his DNA's on that stuff. I was opening parcels that had Kid Colton from 1962, I think it was. And Jack hadn't seen that artwork since 1962, since he put it in the envelope to send off. And I was opening these things, Incredible.
I feel strangely called out.
Well, I don't understand.
No, I do a lot of digital work, so.
Oh no, I'm not saying. He's not saying people shouldn't do it.
Yeah, he's not downgrading what you're doing. He's just mentioning.
I'm just joking.
See it. It's a habit. Hold it in your hands.
Yeah, I just.
I like working traditionally too. So.
Yeah, I've been doing Randy's character, the Fool, right? And this is all hand drawn, hand painted.
Yeah.
And it's on the paper's stretched on the board. And I just think I can touch it,
Yeah.
Oh no, I completely agree with you. I like the feel of working traditionally a lot. So the only reason I work more digitally is I can just move faster.
Yeah. Yeah, when I got my Wacom, I said I'll only do commercial work here, but I'll do all my comic work physically, until I got up here and started working digitally, and it was like, oh, this is so much fun and so easy. I got to try a story, and I've done very little physical stuff ever since. Still grab a sketch pad every once in a while and throw a drawing in it. So
I always have a sketch pad with me whenever I go out, and I also have like a bunch of my other stuff that I do. So just
I've worked on a Wacom pad in the early mid-90s when they first came out, and it was fantastic. But I just like a pencil.
Yeah.
No,
I like the drag on the paper. I know it's all cliche, but it's true. And I'm not saying people shouldn't use computer, because it's it's whatever gets the result you want. I just like drawing.
I much prefer the feeling of a pencil across paper. It does feel a lot better. My whole reasons for working digitally more is just it's just easier for me.
Speed,
to do it.
Quicker.
So it's quicker, and it's also easier. If that makes sense. My MS, it can be difficult for me to get everything together to do that, but it's easier for me to sit at my computer and do stuff. So
I hear you. Yeah.
I mean, I've heard people on these podcasts saying that they're scared to ink because they're spilling the ink all over the work. Well, in 45 years, I've never done that, so you have to be careful.
I've done it a number of times.
Right.
I'm not careful.
I haven't spilled the ink thing all over the artwork, but I have made a mess of it on the artwork, and I just kind of went, well, I'm going to work with it, and just kind of go from there. I have a lot of whiteout too.
Yeah, well,
I was in the middle of inking a job one time and foolishly had the neighbor's kid over, and the neighbor kid saw what I did, and he wanted to do it too. So he grabbed a magic marker and started all over the artwork. It was great.
Well, I did a couple of years ago. I do portraits of family and whoever wants to pay me and all that. And I did some for the family, and I went to this sort of family party thing, and I was giving out these drawings, pencil drawings of the kids and all that kind of thing. And one of the kids, I was standing next to this kid's dad, right? He's married to my niece, and the kid Ben's there. This little kid, he's 10 now, whatever, but he was about 5, and he said he came back with his pencil drawing I'd done, and asked his dad if he could colour it in. I said, no, you can't. And which I was really, really grateful for, because when he didn't do it. Kids usually do things before they ask, don't they? So if he'd coloured it in, I'd have thought, oh, forget it.
Good kids do.
Cute, though,
Good kids do.
he asked to color it.
Luckily, he did. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then there was another. I drew some hatch on somebody. They were decorating, so I drew it on the wall, and they got their kids, their grandchildren to colour it in. I don't know what you do with it on the wall, but it was just like, oh my God, you know. But anyway, that's just it's just what happens.
Yeah, well, you know, kids.
What do you think the greatest piece of comic art that you've ever seen up close?
I don't know about the greatest, but I mean, I've seen a lot of Kirby artwork now because I was in his house.
Yeah.
But I was always impressed with a piece. I went to a London convention about 10 years ago, and the guy there, one of the guys there, had an original Frank Bellamy Thunderbirds, which was absolutely gorgeous. I've said before that he uses those what they call those Dr. Martens dies.
Yeah.
And he drew this. Bellamy drew this in about 1966, and it was just pristine. It was just bang on. He had it in this frame, and I think he wanted about 4,000 quid for it. If he'd have said 500, I might have bought it. But and then there was some other pieces from there we are. Wow. Lovely, yeah. And
I still got my set too, but only it's about 30 years old, sitting out here on a shelf, and there's still dye in it too. Right. Those things last forever. They're amazing.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah,
just wonderful stuff. But that Frank Bellamy stuff, you know, I've seen some of his Garth work as well. The strips, cartoon strips, just pen and ink. Yeah, pen and ink.
Yeah.
I've never seen any Mike Noble stuff from TV21. You know the picture I always show of Captain Scarlet falling off the tower. That's Mike Noble. I've never seen any of his, but it's just beautiful. And this is what I said to you about the digital thing. I mean, I don't really look, but I've not seen a piece of digital artwork that I was impressed with, other than, you know, not like an original piece of artwork. You know, on a board or a paper.
You're just more of a fan of traditional. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. That's cool.
Yeah,
I'm not a fan. I am.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I just think it's. We've said this before as well. That some of this comic work is I think should be classed as high art.
Yes.
You know, it's just as good. It's just as good. Frank Bellamy's work to me is just as good as Leonardo's. You know, but in a different way.
Yeah. Oh, I completely agree. I mean,
I'd go see an exhibit of Mobius in a heartbeat.
Oh, yeah.
That would be super amazing to see.
Oh, do you know, speaking of Mobius, do you know one of the fascinating things I found out about his work? I've never seen a piece of his work, but he draws really small. You know,
that's surprising. Yeah.
Well, I thought it would be at least, you know, like, what is it, 1.5, like comic books are or whatever. But he draws really small, apparently. So.
I know Mark Baudet painted his one of his big iconic pieces of the I think it was from Airtight Garage, of a lady dressed up in leather sitting on a bench holding a glowing pyramid. He painted that as a huge mural out in San Francisco.
Wow.
Just absolutely huge, and it was beautiful. Just phenomenal stuff.
Yeah.
But Mark Baudet is just an amazing muralist anyway. He does some phenomenal work.
Well, the thing about
get over on his Facebook page. He puts up the stuff that he does when he does it. It's just
right.
Yeah. It's one of those guys you sit there and you go, oh, I wish I could do that. You know?
Yeah.
That would be cool to do.
But the thing with Mobius is that he the worlds he designs, that lady in that hat, he always draws those big hats, and he creates the entire thing, doesn't he? In his machines it's just beautiful stuff. We mentioned the other day about that. Is it Jodorowsky Dune?
Yeah.
Apparently, was it you that mentioned there's 400 drawings or something that nobody's ever seen? That
Mobius did.
Yeah.
I know the guys that worked for him did a huge body of work, and very few of which ended up in the Bible for the pitch Bible for the show.
But I just wonder where that artwork is.
I couldn't say.
Probably
Jodorowsky went on to do a whole lot of stuff with Mobius, though. So who knows where it could be?
It's probably at Jodorowsky's house.
Yeah, he might have taken it and just incorporated it into what he was doing. He did Inkle, right, with him.
Yeah,
wasn't Inkle?
Yeah. And they're making a movie out of that now.
Yeah, can't wait to see that.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see how that will turn out.
A live action movie.
Yeah,
I believe it's live action.
I think
I
it should
prefer animated, but
I think it should be animated because
yeah, that too.
That's so.
But there's a lot of that needs to be, faithfully animated. I think Eisner's Spirit would make a great TV show.
Oh yeah.
Of 15-minute snippets out of the stories, or even 10 minutes out of all of the different episodes that he did, would just be amazing to see, especially animated in his style. Just be phenomenal.
You could theoretically pull off classic 7-minute cartoons with the Spirit.
Yeah.
Very easy.
Very easily.
Mm-hmm. That'd be great.
Is it Eisner's estate that would own all that stuff now?
Oh yeah. Yep.
I just wonder. I mean, we don't know what's happening, do we? But I just wonder what's happening with things like that, where they pursuing Hollywood to, Pixar or whatever to make these things, or I mean, we don't know, do we? I just can't believe. If my dad would have been Will Eisner, and I had access to all that artwork and stuff, I think I'd have to be pursuing something to be along the lines of, like you're saying, of an animated thing. And maybe they do. I don't know. But
you never know. They might have gotten this close. I've gotten that close a couple of times on stuff and just have it fall through for one reason or another.
I've gotten that close twice with Star Wars. So
sweet.
Right. Yeah, it's we don't know what's going on, do we?
And you never know what'll happen. Next day somebody could knock on your door, and it's the way it is. You can't foretell that kind of stuff.
Well, if Pixar want to give me $5 million for Hatch, I think I'll let them have it.
When I went to see Fifth Element, I was sitting there just drooling, going, "This is Mobius on film. This is Mobius live action. This is amazing stuff."
Yeah, it's Mobius / Valerian and Lorelei.
Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely had the feelings of all that.
And even the Valerian movie was way underrated.
That movie was beautiful.
They did
really
a lot of work on that
movie.
Yep. It's right up. There's a whole set of movies right there that are, to me, that are just classic. And Valerian's one of them. Fifth Element's one of them. But John Carter is also up there.
I love the John Carter movie.
These films that just didn't get the appreciation they remotely deserved because they were properties that nobody here in the States, hardly nobody here in the States knows who Valerian is or what the property is about. But
or the fact that George Lucas may have borrowed a lot from Valerian.
He borrowed a lot from everybody. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he did. But I mean, there were like specific shots he took like right out of Valerian.
Yeah, well, I think he took a lot out of a lot, didn't he?
Yeah. Oh,
this is a comic we discussed a few weeks ago.
That's a great one.
Comics by Night. Yep.
And for me, this is almost perfection because it's my favorite film anyway of all time, and obviously Jack Kirby, and he does such a good rendition of it. I think
I have that same book someplace around here. The Treasury Edition, the whole thing. I mean,
it's back.
I had to have it as the Treasury Edition.
Yep. Yeah, apparently this is quite rare. So
it is.
So
I think that's worth more than the first printing of the actual book. So.
All right. I had one of those first, maybe not a first printing, but when I was at school, when 2001 came, just before it came out, I bought the book.
Yeah, you probably had the first print. I would be surprised if you didn't.
Well, listen to what happened. Where I used to live, it was in the middle of a big wooded area. So whenever you came out of my house, it was a cottage. You were in the trees, right? And there was a walkway that we used to go to. Me and my brother used to go to school, and it was really high. And then it dropped down about 20 feet, and then it hit a path, and then past the path was another drop of about 50 feet into a river, right? So you had to be careful. So one day it was really icy, and I'm on the way to school. I've got this 2001 book in my sort of satchel thing, whatever you call it, and I was skidding about, and I thought it'd be a really good idea. I was only 13 or something. Really good idea to send my little satchel down this dip first onto the path. Well, it was full of ice, wasn't it? So what it did, it skipped down the thing, skidded across the path, and the fence was just like poles with wire, not all slatted, but just wire. So it went under that 50 feet and bounced once, opened, and fell into the river, and all this stuff. No. And I can see it now tumbling in the water. Just Well, the thing was that all my homework and all my school books were in there as well. I had to go to all the classes that day without any homework and without any books and explain to each teacher. But the main thing was that my 2001 book was lost, and the rats were reading it the next week.
Mm-hmm.
I can definitely attest that I've never done anything like that. So, I mean, girls do stupid things, but not usually like that. So,
well, it was just tumbling in this. I could just see everything coming out, and anyway. But I've still got this, so that's good.
There you are. Yep.
My brother most likely has done something that dumb. I applaud you.
I've done crazier stuff than that. I'll tell you some other time.
Oh, I believe it. I've done some pretty stupid things in my life too. Amazing! I never got arrested. So.
We've all done stupid stuff. Yeah.
We have, yeah.
Pretty sure the statute of limitations is gone on that.
Yeah. I was in a comic shop in Columbus, Ohio, looking at comics. I think I was there for a signing, or they were throwing a show that weekend, and that Friday night we all got together for a little party, and they're looking at the comics, and I look up and I see this page from Camelot 3000 of Brian Boland's, the splash illustration of the Lady in the Lake.
John Bolton.
Pushing Brian Boland.
Right. Okay.
From Camelot 3000.
Oh,
the Lady in the Lake pushing the sword up out of the atomic cooling pool.
Right.
And just went, is that real? Because holy crap, if that's real. Yeah. Just amazing to see.
I saw some of the original Swamp Thing pieces by Bernie Wrightson.
There you go.
Wow.
And those blew my mind.
Mm-hmm.
I still wanted them.
I saw... Sorry,
but I was a poor kid. So
yeah, well,
yeah.
I was in Ontario, not Canada, Ontario, California airport, and I was going to get a hire car, and behind the desk was that picture, that photograph of the Apollo 11 crew when they've got the moon in front of them, the model of the moon, and they've got the suits on. That was on the back of the big photograph, and it was signed by them.
Wow.
Right? Signed by the crew. And then when you turn left, there was a frame of 5 original Schultz Peanuts cartoons.
Wow.
And he'd signed it right across them all. Signed it right all across. I mean, I don't know why he's done that, but
diagonal across the board, huh?
Right across all the artwork, yeah.
Wow.
And I thought, wow, I remember, I still do think about that, and I think, which one would I rather have had, the Schultz artwork or the Apollo 11 photograph? But it was huge.
It was kind of a tough call on that.
Yeah,
one.
I think, to be honest, I think I'd probably have the photograph.
Honestly,
But the thing,
I would too.
Yeah.
But the thing there is that I would have nowhere to put it because it was that big.
They just had some of that. Some of the I saw an Antiques Roadshow where they had some of the Schultz strips up there, and the curator guy was drooling about them and giving a really high price to it. I'm like, wow, that would have been incredible.
Yeah.
I was at a show here in Flint of comic art, and there was a little small 5x7 frame sitting up just barely above eye level, and it was an original pencil sketch of Superman by Schuster.
Wow.
Ooh.
Wow. What was that going for?
Oh no, it was on display. It wasn't for sale.
Right. Wow.
It was just there. But I was at I was in Memphis one time, and they had a children's book illustration exhibit from these classic children's books. And you turn the corner in an extremely low light, and they had just the dimmest light that you can imagine that was shining on it. Was the original pencil sketch of the just iconic picture of Alice holding the croquet flamingo with the head drooped down onto the floor. It was the original pencil work.
Nice.
For that illustration. I'm just, wow, that's crazy.
I tell you, I saw there was an exhibition in London many years ago, and I saw what is believed to be the first, very, very first cartoon sequential art by Leonardo da Vinci.
Really?
Okay. Yeah. And you had to go into this room, and it was dark. And you had to go in, and you went across this down little corridor thing, and there was this little, like a display, and you had to press this button, and this green light came on, and you could see this pencil work.
Mm-hmm.
And then it went off, and when it went, it was only on for like 5 seconds, and when it went off, you had to move. So this thing's 500 years old, you know, and it's Leonardo da Vinci.
That would be crazy to see.
Oh,
yeah.
That would be awesome. I have an animation still from Fantasia.
Do you? Sweet.
Right.
It's one of the Sorcerer Apprentices one.
Oh, well, even better.
Wow.
Because I like Sorcerer Mickey. So
sweet.
That was always the Mickey Mouse I would draw. When people say, "Hey, can you draw Mickey Mouse?" I'd always draw the Sorcerer Mickey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just wondered. I've often wondered, you know, where, you know, like I think it was Snow White was the first full-length animated film, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And it was something like 2.5 million drawings or something crazy.
Yeah.
Now, you know, the John Silvestri does it, doesn't he? When they flick it through the hands and make it, you know, they get that motion with the drawings, you know. I wonder where those drawings are now. I mean, being the Disney archive, I would have thought, wouldn't it? But you think that you think
they're in the archive.
Why don't they put a book out?
Because
I mean, I don't know how you get 2.5 million drawings, but you could do a series of volumes, couldn't you? And just put the artwork out. You know, let's all see it. Otherwise, you might just throw it in the bin.
Yeah, that seems like a good idea. I mean,
they kick out the Art of Walt Disney, an edition of that every couple of years, and it's all. A lot of times, it's a whole different layout and a whole different.
But they don't put everything in it, do they?
No,
they don't put
you can't put everything in it. Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I like with Ridley Scott on Blade Runner. Ridley Scott's an artist as well, and he draws his own storyboards a lot of the time, or at least parts of them.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see them.
Yeah,
put them in a book, put them in a volume, and get them out. But
one of the things I like about Star Wars is they do put out like everything.
Right.
Like I have the books of all the storyboards for all the movies.
Oh right.
I remember seeing the first 3 out. Yeah, because I would buy anything Star Wars back during that time.
And like the first Matrix movie, they put out a book that was basically all the conceptual art and storyboards.
That's cool.
For the first movie, and that was great. I love that.
Yeah.
Also, I love the fact they basically hired comic artists to draw it all.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the storyboards on what was it? I have them for the first 6 Star Wars movies. All the storyboards.
I didn't know that they produced those.
Yeah.
I knew they did them. I didn't know they did it for the set of prequels. That's cool.
That's actually when I first really noticed them, is when the prequels came out. I was like, ooh, I spent money on those. Then I tracked down the other ones.
There you go.
Right. Yep. That's good.
But yeah, they're worth it.
Yeah, I tell folks anytime they get a chance to see a exhibition of comic art or fantasy art, they need to go.
I want to go. I think it was
traveling exhibitions around there. You never know what your local art museum's going to.
Yeah, I think it was Daphne Lage said that when she was at the Qbert thing, there was some. She'd been to Neil Adams' studio or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and she said that the artwork. I think it was Daphne. The artwork was on the wall. A lot of the art was on the walls. Mm-hmm. And I think she said she'd seen the artwork for the Superman Muhammad Ali book.
Yeah, I seem to remember saying that too. Yeah,
the cover, because didn't he put people's faces in the crowd or something?
Yeah,
famous people's faces in the crowd. No, kind of thing. Yeah, it's just wonderful.
And I had to redraw a couple of them, so I had to turn Kojak into Lex Luthor, because they couldn't get clearance.
Oh,
yep.
Because, people would be offended if Neil Adams sat there and drew their likeness in the midst of all these other famous people. Heaven forbid.
Yeah.
Heaven forbid that happened. I mean, it's not like they're public figures or anything. So,
I wouldn't mind if Neil Adams drew my face in that crowd.
No.
Same.
I think it was great. I might even pay him to do it.
Be a little difficult now, but yeah.
Of course,
of course. Now. Yeah.
Well, Jim Lee drew me into Action Comics 1000.
Oh, did he?
Yep.
That's cool.
I was on his live stream, in the crowd type thing when he was drawing it, and he goes, "Okay, who wants to be in the background?"
Wow.
And he took
Sweet.
a whole bunch of us and threw us all into the background things. I mean, they're very fast drawings. It's cool.
But it's still you, isn't it?
Yep.
I'm in the background of a Thor annual.
Awesome.
Right.
The short story in the back by Kirk Jarvin. He drew myself and Jason Moore into it.
Brilliant.
And after it was printed, he brought it up to us. See, drew you in there. That's you.
It was funny.
Great. Now I'm a copywritten character by Marvel. Who knew?
Well, I'm DC, so it's okay.
There we are.
Oh,
It was funny because he's just like, "Do you want to wear yoga pants?" I'm like, "I don't care."
that's great.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
color
it'd be
didn't get my hair color right, but oh well.
Just draw me in polka dotted boxers. That'll be great. That way I'll stand out. It'll be fine.
Yeah, I'm the only woman who's in the shot. So
There you go.
everybody else that was in there, I'm fairly certain. Actually, I know one of the moderators is a woman, but everybody else who's in the chat was male. So
Greatest comics of all time. Anybody?
yep, greatest comics of all time.
Greatest.
There's
comics.
one we were just talking about yesterday.
I know.
Oh, Friday.
We're going through the Watchmen now.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, how
This
far
is-
in are you?
This is
We're on
my
issue 2.
well-read, collected.
Yeah.
All the others are in the archive somewhere, the original books, but this is one of the greatest things ever produced, I think.
Yeah, I have the originals in my closet, I believe.
Yeah, locked away for no reason.
I keep the trade around if I want to read it too.
At the originals right here in handy for the show right now. So and I need to put them in plastic.
Yeah, I have mine.
I need to sell mine. I'm going to sell all my collection. That's what I'm looking at doing.
I'm
Because-
just gonna let the kids worry about that.
Nah, well, I've not got any kids, so I don't care. So I just want the money. Just give me the money, and I might be able to get a trip somewhere. That's that.
Might get another book out of it. There you go.
Yeah. So, it's like I keep saying I've got a few things, and I want to get rid of them now, and so when I can enjoy the cash, because if I leave them behind, somebody's either going to throw them in the bin or sell them and go to the place where I wanted to go to with the money. So
There you go.
they're mine.
Yeah,
they're mine.
No,
But it's
when I
funny-
broke the majority of my collection, I did similar stuff. I went on vacation and things. Like when I sold my
Yeah.
X-Men run and stuff like that. Because I had
Yeah.
one through 400 of X-Men.
Right.
So
Yeah, I want to create memories for me.
Mhm.
I don't want somebody to be lying on a beach in Spain thinking, "Oh, Glenn's Comics got me these. Thanks."
Yeah.
I want to be the one on the beach in Spain thinking, "My comics got me this holiday."
yeah, exactly.
So
well, you're gonna have to become eBay aware then.
I know
Get up there and
it's a drag, isn't it? eBay.
start moving them out. Yeah, 'cause that's
photographing things, and
it's the best way you can do it at the moment, though.
Yeah, you're gonna get the best bang for your buck on eBay.
Unless you've got something absolutely huge you can auction off through one of the auction houses.
I've got what was it? 10 of the 12 Moonwalkers autographs on the pictures, and I've got John Glenn and all the early astronauts.
There you go.
Oh,
Yeah.
So I'm looking at selling those.
I have 2 major books that I probably would have to take to auction if I was going to get rid of them. I have a 9/8 Fantastic Four 48
There you
Right.
go.
and a
That's
9
the first Silver Surfer, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
First Surfer, First Galactus, and I have a 9/6 Hulk 181.
Hulk 91 or
181. First
181. Yeah. Is that where Wolverine's on the cover? That's where
Yeah.
he pops in at the back, or what?
No, that's the first full issue. I actually have all 3 of them, but
Mhm.
that's what was it? I think the 180 I think is like an 8.7 or something like that, and then I have the 181, the 182 are both high 9s. Well, 9.6 and 9.2.
Good for you. That's sweet.
I'd have
Yeah.
to look at them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I had a 181 that was really dog-eared that I sold probably 15 years ago for $300.
Wow.
That was just as the X-Men movies were coming out.
Yeah, I had a one that I had graded that was a 6.0, and I actually turned that into what became the 9.6.
Oh, really? Okay.
I had it signed.
Oh, there you go. Signed by
Lenwine and not Lenwine, Herb Trimp and who wrote it?
Isn't that Wayne?
It might have been. Yeah, it actually was. Yeah,
Lynn Wine.
I was right. Yeah, Lenwine and Herb Trimp. I had
Yeah.
signed by them, the signature series, and signed by them.
Cool.
And I turned it into the 9.6, which I then also got signed.
I've got a few Kirby things. I've got New Gods 1 signed by Kirby, New Gods 7, which is another great comic. The Glory Boat. Remember that one?
Yes.
About the conscientious objector guy. That's one of the best Kirby things, I think. One of the best comics ever, I think. I've also got the New God, keep calling New Gods, the Hunger Dogs signed and all that kind of stuff. So there's got to be somebody out there who would take these off me.
Yeah.
I don't know what
He's one of the few signatures I don't have of people that I admire. I don't have Kirby.
I don't have any Kirby either.
I have Stan Lee. But yeah, I don't have Kirby.
Stan, I've got 2 Masterworks first prints that caught him at a Chicago show before anybody started charging for autographs. And it's got the classic Lee signature in there too, back when he was at his prime. So I've cherished those quite a bit. I've got 3 or 4 Eisner signatures.
I have Eisners.
2 of them to me, 1 to Arrow Comics.
Wow.
I've got 2 Joe Straczynski signatures. And one of them's got a long, I took him a pirated script one time. I told this story on the air before. And he was a little upset because wasn't supposed to have it. It was the pilot for Babylon 5. And I said, oh, I don't ever plan on selling this. I says, I'm going to use it to study because I want to write and that kind of thing. He says, oh, you're going to keep it for the rest of your life, right? I said, absolutely am. So he wrote a paragraph in there and says, this book is Randy's. If I ever catch anybody with this book that's not Randy, I will personally track them down and kill them. And then he signed it, Joe Straczynski.
That's awesome.
I said, thank you. Awesome. Then I had his script writing book signed to me too. That he did. That was amazing. That was
the Eisner
book. Great book.
Well, the Eisner book I have signed is one of his art books. Is sequential art book.
Yeah. Yep. I've got a first print of that signed to me.
I'm pretty sure mine's not a first print, but I do have it. So
yeah, I should have that wrapped in plastic too. It's the Eclipse Books first print as well.
Mine's Eclipse book. No, mine's Kitchen Sink. But yeah, the
Kitchener Eclipse. Whoever did the first. I'm pretty sure I thought it was Eclipse.
Oh no, you might be right. I think mine is Kitchen Sink.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, I'm not disputing what you got. So.
Yeah. Well, my memory's not 100% anymore, but
mine's definitely not what it used to be.
He was at a Motor City Con one time and had him sign he did the cover for the program, had him sign the program, and he signed it to Randy from Arrow Comics, or it said to Randy, good luck with Arrow Comics, Will Eisner. And it's got his classic signature there too.
I have Franco on X-Men 50.
Wow.
And also on Nick Fury Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. #1. And I think it's #3.
Cool.
Yeah, I believe this one. I got Adams on first appearance of Havoc. I think that's X-Men 48. And there was a Batman cover that I got him on. I can't remember the number. It's it's basically a homage cover to the Bob Kane one with like the castle and his like shadowed form in the background and things. Okay. It's a Ra's al Ghul issue, I believe.
Cool.
But I love that cover by him so much.
Well, what you both need for your collections is this. This is crikey #1. So what you need to do is contact me and I'll sign one for you.
There you go.
Send it over.
$1 million.
$1 million. Yeah.
£1 million in your case.
Pounds. Yeah.
It's about the same now, anyway. So
that's true.
But yeah, everybody needs one of them, and they also need one of them. That's #1 as well. Yeah, it's #1 as well. So
I had a sketchbook I would take around early in the late 80s. Doing comics got to be a job, so I started carrying a sketchbook around with me and having people that I really respect autograph the inside covers. So I've got a collection of autographs from a lot of people. Julie Schwartz, and I've got Eisner in that, Adams, Spain, Rodriguez, and
Wow.
S. Clay Wilson, that kind of stuff.
All in the same book.
I showed those off before here on a Sunday Funnies some time back. So
I have McFarlane on 298, 299, and 300 of Amazing Spider-Man.
there you go.
Stan Lee I have on the first appearance of Hawkeye.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, it's an Iron Man issue. I'm trying to remember the
yeah.
name.
Tales of Suspense.
Yeah, something like that. And
Is it Gene Colan?
I think it is.
Don Heck.
Might be. I have to look. It's been so long since I've looked at it. I'd have to check to see who did it.
It's right in a period that Heck was doing a lot of that work. Heck and
yeah. Actually, I think it is Heck.
Simek, maybe.
Right.
Simek.
I'd have to look it up. But it has that white cover, which is one of the big things about it.
Mm-hmm.
It was like the one I have it's very white, so it's like it hasn't yellowed or anything. And I had him sign it, and then it pretty much have never taken it like out of the plastic aside from to switch it to new plastic. So,
so it's probably a slabbable book.
Yeah, I wouldn't be. I'd have to get the autograph authenticated for them because this is well before slabbing was a thing.
Yeah,
like, this is like he was in this old Boston Comic Con years back, when the Radisson Hotel was still there, and there was a line, and it was you could get one book signed by Stan Lee. I remember my dad was behind me, and he had another book for him to sign for me. Actually, it was the it was a early issue of Spider-Man. The drug issue, the one that doesn't have the comics code on it.
89, I think.
Yeah, it's either that or it's like 90 something. But yeah, it's right around
right in that period.
Yeah.
Gil Kane.
Gil Kane,
yeah. Yep. It was that issue, and I mean, it wasn't in the greatest of shape to begin with, but
is it the one he's digging in, he's falling, and he's digging into the side of the skyscraper, and you could see his finger he's leaving paths where his finger is just dug in, and he wasn't sticking, and he's it's a great cover.
Yep. And then I have it's not signed, but I also have was it 131 Spider-Man 131 First Punisher?
Okay.
I mean, I
remember reading that book when it came out because the character looked so interesting. Yeah.
When I was seriously collecting, I tried to get like everything from like the Bronze Age. I mean, I have a lot of Silver Age stuff, but I focused heavily on the Bronze Age. Like, I have the first appearance of Moon Knight. I have what was it? First appearance of Blade. The Wolverine, obviously, the Punisher, stuff like that. But I also had like every Surfer appearance in the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
And my other big thing that I collected was Hulk Thing fights.
Okay.
Those are big for me.
One of the first books I remember reading was a giant size Fantastic Four. That was a big Hulk Thing fight on it. Yeah.
Pretty sure. The one with the horrible inking with, is it George Roussos?
I think, I want to say Keith Pollard did the artwork on that issue.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, my mistake. Yeah, my mistake. I was thinking of the FF issue.
Mm-hmm. No, this was a giant size FF. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The second Hulk Thing fight is one of my favorites because it led into Hulk versus everybody, basically.
Is it issue 26 or something like that? The original one.
The original one? It's the original Hulk Thing fight's like in the early teens.
Is it? All right, okay. Anyway, it's horrible inking because I can see it now.
Yeah, because it's the one with that covers him like standing to the side in like a cave in the Fantastic Four.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I was thinking of the one where they're on the...
Yes. Yep.
The next one.
That's the second fight's the one you're thinking about. Because that's the one that leads into basically like Hulk versus the Fantastic Four and the Avengers.
Yeah. Just one big fight.
Mm-hmm.
That's what
Somebody
books.
Somebody summed up the Fantastic Four brilliantly. They said this is the Fantastic Four, right? When Lee and Kirby were doing it, Sue is upset with Reed because he's been in the laboratory for 3 days and she hasn't seen him. Johnny's after some girl in some car. Ben's
Hot
upset.
Rod.
Yeah, Ben's upset because he's not Ben. And then the baddie comes, they have a fight, and then everything's okay. That's basically every issue.
Yep. No, that sums it up.
Yeah. I could argue with that.
Oh yeah, my other things I have is Conan comic. The Barry Windsor Smith Conan one.
Yeah.
And I have like, what was it, the issue that everybody wants, like issue 3, because it's so hard to find.
I'd have to look at that. I'm sure I've got it reprinted in about 5 different places at least. So
yeah, I haven't. I have reprints of them to read. Actually, I have a Marvel Comics Essentials with all of them.
yeah.
And that's like one of my favorite ways of looking at it because it's black and white.
Yeah. Yep.
I actually keep that near my bed. So
got that Essentials book too. They told him never to reprint it again. The Howard estate. That was because they printed it during a time when they didn't have the rights to Conan.
Yep.
Oops. But anyway, yeah.
I have it. That's all I care about.
I understand the Godzilla books the same way.
I have that one too.
They printed that, and
You know what they should have done when they had both the properties, though?
I got a whole book. Yeah, put them together.
No. Godzilla versus like Shogun Warriors, because they had them they should have done that.
Somebody, Ben Dunn, I think, just printed a mock-up cover of that.
Yes, he did. That's
on Facebook, and it's like,
agreed with him on that. Like,
of course, they should have done that, no doubt. Yeah, they really should have. What do you have, Glenn?
I just said they should have had Godzilla versus Hulk. I was trying to find the Conan book. I've got one of these treasury editions of the Barry Smith Conans, but I can't find it. But it's somewhere around there. In fact, I just saw it 2 minutes ago before we came up, but I can't remember where I put it. Oh,
we'll be looking at a lot more Conan on Comics by Night here.
Found it.
Ooh, I have that same one.
This is brilliant. This is all obviously Barry Windsor Smith as he is now, Barry Smith then. But yeah,
those old Treasury editions never get enough love.
No,
I love the Treasury editions.
I ate them up when they were first out. I loved them. Yeah.
Ooh, Bicentennial Battles.
Yep.
Fantastic.
This is great because
different great Captain Americas in it. Yeah.
Yeah, this is great because it has different inkers on it. I mean, Barry Smith inks part of this. Frank Giacoya, just the usual suspects, but they all do the 3 or 4 pages, and it's wonderful. It's really good.
It is. It's a nice volume.
It's for sale if anybody wants to watch it, wants to buy it.
Gonna have to start putting up video auctions.
Yeah, I haven't been to Paris for a while. I want to go back, so somebody buy all my comics for me.
Paris is just a few hours away from you.
Yeah,
too.
But with the Garth stuff, I was in touch with Mrs. Bellamy 20 years ago to get some of this Garth stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, it didn't work out. She sold. I think she sold it on an auction house and all that kind of stuff, which is fair enough. But there was a lot of it still up there. On
that's the Titan reprint collection.
This is the Titan reprint. Yeah,
got that book. Yeah.
But it's just wonderful, and we're gonna have to look at Bellamy's work.
Absolutely
on Comics by Night, because
I've got the illustrator's issue over here of Bellamy. That's got it covers his whole career. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's funny because it's funny how I like the backgrounds of things. I'm not just content with the actual work. I like to know try and find out what's in the person's head. And apparently Bellamy, all Bellamy wanted to do was go and live in Africa and draw the wildlife.
Yeah.
That's why in Thunderbirds he has a lot of rhinos in there and elephants and things like that.
Why not? Yep.
I mean, such a fantastic artist, but all he wanted to do was draw tigers and lions in the natural habitat.
Well, that's the main reason V.T. Hamlin had Alley-Oop discover that time machine way back, because he was a huge history buff and he was tired of drawing dinosaurs and jungle foliage. He's like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to have Alley-Oop get yanked through time a lot. So he got to draw everything that he wanted. And he did it incredibly well, too. That's another strip that's just incredibly underrated. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to look. I've got a couple of volumes of that, not enough volumes of that.
Well,
but as a kid, they used to run the Alley-Oop strip at the bottom of all of the comic pages every day. And we used to look forward to reading that strip. And some of the Hamlin work, especially his ink work, is just phenomenal. Just beautiful looking.
Years ago, 50 years ago, nearly 60 years ago, we had TV 21.
Yeah.
That's the Ron Embleton, one of the plates at the end of the Captain Scarlet. You've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's got Frank Bellamy doing Thunderbirds, you know.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic.
It is amazing stuff.
Incredible. Incredible. I mean, look at that.
Hang on. We got to blow that up. Boom.
Look at the red on that. Look at the red backgrounds on it. It's just fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah. It's amazing what you can get the solid form from a Dr. Martin's die in the right paper. Just phenomenal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't talk enough good things about that, especially if you like painting by hand or doing watercolor work.
Look at that Thunderbird 3 taking off there. Look at that.
Yeah.
How fantastic is that? Absolutely beautiful. Apparently, it used taking 3 days from a blank piece of paper to a finished coloured strip.
Yeah.
3 days. And he used to do the lettering as well.
There you are. There we are.
First Iron Fist, one of my favorite books.
Marvel premiere, I believe Jim Starlin artwork in that, right?
Yes, he did.
When's that, from the 80s or the 70s?
That's the 80s. No, late 70s.
It was the 70s.
Yeah. Covers by Gil Kane, right?
Yep.
It's a Gil Kane cover.
That is. Then I also have.
There we go. There we go. Yep.
Preserved and wrapped as it should be. There we are too. Yeah.
Yeah. Is that Red Sonja?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Fantastic. You still see those two treasuries pop up at conventions pretty often. They're about 20, 25 a piece now.
Yes, they are. My this one got a little bit taken out of the side down here, but
it's not like you're going to resell it right away or anything.
I probably will never resell them because I like to look at the art that much, and having them that big.
Yep.
Yeah.
So as a kid, that was their major selling point. That, and they sat in the back of the comic rack, and you couldn't help but see them. And for a while there, they were all 100 pagers, and all of the reprints in there were solid. Just the first one they did was a Spider-Man. They did an FF and an Avengers one right after the next, and all of them were 100 pages, and they all had phenomenal stories in them. Just great stuff.
Yeah, the one that I want to get again is the Star Wars one, because mine fell apart.
There you go.
When
I think I've got that somewhere. You could purchase it from me, Nelson.
And he'll be in the States in a couple of months. So
that'll be $1 million.
$1 million.
That's $2 million you owe me now.
Yep.
I've got that in paperback, black and white form. I mean, pocket paperback form.
Wow.
Because at the time, any oddball format that came out, I bought. Just I loved anything comics in an unusual format, so had to buy it.
Oh, what was it? As I often refer to him as my crack dealer, the guy who I buy my comics through. He has a Star Wars #1 for me that I'm saving up to grab. So,
okay.
Actually, I think he's got like the first 10 issues for me. So
got those around. I had that because of the bunny story. The second story the first original story that Roy Thomas did, that has Obi Don Quixote in it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that one.
And a large green bunny. Yeah.
Oh, that one. Yes, I know the exact one you're referring to. Yes. It's that character who has a love-hate relationship with anything Star Wars. So
Yep. It's the most hated character until Jar Jar Binks came along.
Oh,
yep.
That and some of the holiday special. So
Not even gonna talk about that. Just no.
they have a
I mean-
documentary coming out about the making of the holiday
Oh.
special.
I can't wait to see that.
That'll be great.
I've seen the holiday special twice. And
How did
ever
Maud
see
end
it
up in
again,
a
it'll be
cantina
too
on
soon.
Tatooine? Yeah, anyway. Sorry, I didn't mean to step on your...
Oh no, it's all right.
You're saying.
If I never see it again, it will be too soon.
yeah,
That being said, the Boba Fett cartoon in it is really fun.
That was John Silvestri. Yeah.
I really enjoy. I mean, they put that up on Disney Plus, and I've watched that more than once because I love the animation style, and it is fun.
Yeah.
The rest of the thing is hot garbage. So
Major
hot,
cringy. Yeah.
garbage on a hot summer day. So
The Guardians holiday special, though, that was pretty fun.
the
That had some nice music to it. It was a good brain check material. Pardon?
song about Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that was just wrong. That was great.
It has its great moments.
Yep.
But those holiday specials should be like that. They should be evergreen, and
Mhm.
you know, you should be able to go back to them in 20, 30 years and enjoy them just as much. The wife is still hooked on Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Has to watch it every Christmas.
Guilty.
Yeah.
Guilty. So, and I have to watch all of those.
Oh, for me, it's A Wonderful Life. I'll sit through that
Oh,
once
I
a
have
year.
to
I
watch
love
that
that.
too. Usually.
Oh, that was a groan from Glenn.
No,
Oh
just-
no, not that movie.
is that the Jimmy Stewart one?
It is.
Yep. It's Jimmy
Right.
Stewart. I mean,
Jimmy Stewart's great, but you know, I'll give you $200.
Yeah.
You know? Oh,
He
my
finds
God.
out that without him, you know, if he hadn't been born, his town would have had a red light district. Would have been great.
that seems like a great idea.
When's Lord of the Rings on again, so I can avoid it?
Who knows?
The
Amazon's probably working on another version of it as we speak. Who knows?
season 2.
Who knows? Yeah. Well, probably not right now, thanks to the SAG strike. So
No,
we want to encourage
that
all
might
the
make it
comic
more-
book writers, all you comic book writers out there, especially if you're working in mainstream, please obey that picket line.
Yeah. Also, if
You don't
do
have to
cross
write
it-
that crap.
Also, if you do cross it, you will be blacklisted as a scab and never hired again. So
Oh yeah, well everybody's already threatened that. That's in other media. You can stop doing your comic book writing too, because you're on strike. Get that
Oh, but-
union.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what was it? I worked for a union job for years, so
Tell you, if you watched the Nerd Bacon show that we did on Thursday, Luke had a version of Chat GPT or whatever it's called, and he asked for a Spider-Man script, and he read it on the air, and it was better than what the Spider-Man stories are now. We were like listening to that, going, you know, that's probably a better story than what they're doing now. Yeah. So
I was playing with that the other day.
pretty crazy.
Being like, what would happen if I plugged in a bunch of things from Star Wars and see what it came up with? And I was like, yep, this is better than Rise of Skywalker. So,
Yep.
granted, that really wasn't hard to get better than that.
No. I haven't watched that since it was in the theater.
I have.
Though I've wanted to sit down and watch Rogue One again, because if it wasn't for Rogue One, I'd have never sat through all of the other Star Wars before that. Because I sat there and after I was done with Rogue One, I said, "There's 2 hours I'm never going to get back." And the all of Star Wars can't be this bad, can it? And I sat down and I watched in a row all the movies before that, all of the Clone Wars, all Rebels, and it was great, just phenomenal.
Hmm.
And then here's even Andor. I thought was pretty
I
well
loved-
done.
I
If
love
you-
Nandor.
If you realize that they're pacing it like it was a foreign film,
Well,
and it's got such a slow build. That's why they were showing 3 episodes. The first 3 episodes in a row was to try to get you into, because they knew that the buildup on that was really slow. But the payoff on it, I thought, was really good. I thought
I
it was a
love
great
Andor.
story. Yeah. I can't wait for season 2 of that.
Same. Andor was just so different.
Yeah.
And it felt so good.
It was somebody's unique vision in that world, and that's what part of the fun was. Their visions, the animated shorts that they've done.
Oh, I love those.
At least the first season was great. I haven't seen the second season, but
I enjoyed the second season.
Did you? Cool.
Yeah.
I'll sit through it. It's on my list, Just
I've not seen any of this
watch
stuff.
it when you can.
I fell out of love with Star Wars when they made those prequels.
Yeah.
What's the point? We knew what was going to happen. We didn't. That
was my feeling on the prequels.
Indulgence. That's what it was. Because if you read, I think it's called Skywalking, and it's George Lucas's autobiography from the mid-80s.
Mm-hmm.
He talks about Star Wars being 9 episodes, 9 films.
Yeah.
But he couldn't get the funding, so he started what he considered was the best one, which is episode 4, which was the first one. And he made those 3. I think Empire is the best one.
Yeah.
And then when he got the money and all the kind of thing and all that, he made the first 3 to bring you up to speed that you didn't need. In my opinion, waste of time, waste of money. They should have just made the last 3 and then done another 3 on the end of that. If you understand what I mean.
But if they had done 1, 2, and 3 without there being a Star Wars continuity to it, and different names, maybe slightly different designs here and there, they would have been okay.
Yeah, because
because you said you knew how it was going to end. It was kind of anticlimactic.
There was no tension because you knew where Darth Vader was going to end up.
Yep.
So he should have just been in it momentarily, maybe in the 3rd one, and like, oh wow, here he comes, because we to me, I was disappointed because it was just a waste of time, really.
The original concepts behind Star Wars are also very, very different.
Yeah,
like his initial, call it Bible that he wrote, where he pulled out the middle when it was like the Star Wars, was very different from what hit the screen, and we should all be very happy about that fact because I've read those things. And
Dark Horse did an adaptation off of them. Yeah, they were very, very different.
For one, there was at one point 2 versions of Luke. One was a girl and one was a boy, and there was Leia. Han Solo, Obi-Wan Kenobi was the same character, and then they had the Han Solo character too. It was weird. Dark Horse actually did an interesting adaptation of them.
Yeah.
They are fun. And they use like more of the Ralph McQuarrie style art for things.
That's the original drafts of a lot of this stuff, yeah.
Yeah. And the Darth Vader, for instance, was a bounty hunter.
Okay. Yeah, that would make sense.
And everybody used lightsabers. Like they weren't just the weapon of the Jedi. There's actually a scene where the when they're attacking what became the Tantive 4 at the very beginning, and the troopers come onto the ship, and they're like, "Switch to your swords. We don't want to break the hull. We don't want to depressurize the hull." And all the things that are on the back of the stormtrooper armor, they grabbed them, pulled them off, and they were lightsabers.
Oh, right.
Okay, cool.
It was like, oh, okay, well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So there's tons of differences between them. And then, he rewrote the scripts like 100 times. And like what the prequels were changed dramatically from his original ideas. Because like when he made the movies, he's like, I'm just going to do this, and I'm going to make it like it's a Flash Gordon episode in the middle of a series. Bang, done. Flash Gordon, Buck Rogers. And he had loose mythology forward and behind it, but it was so different originally. Like the Jedi were more like samurai because Vader was serving Tarkin. He wasn't like, it wasn't more, they were warriors. They're more of a type of a thing. I mean, they're the guardians of peace and all that, but they were more samurai-like than they were what they
I can see
became.
that. Yeah.
The first movie really shows that. If you pay attention to things, like the Emperor was supposed to be a figurehead, than anything else, and the amount of changes that they made going forward, because like, is it Marsha Lucas when somebody's like, it's like, so, did you know there's going to be three of these? And she's like, I didn't know there's going to be two of these. And it's like, so where did Darth Vader become Luke's father? Spoiler alert for a 40-year-old movie. And she's like, it was a joke over dinner.
Oh.
Literally, they were at a dinner, and
was it not issue 2 of New Gods?
yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, basically, it's exactly what it was. But yeah. What was it? Richard Prowse? I think that was Vader.
David Prowse, yeah.
David Prowse. Yes, David Prowse. He had made a comment during the filming of Star Wars. He's like, Darth Vader's probably Luke's dad, because he knew that Darth Vader meant Dark Father, and everybody was like, "Oh, that's the hint." And Luke is like, "It does." I just thought it sounded cool.
Yeah, he probably said, "Oh yeah, I'm glad I thought of that."
Yeah.
But yeah, and then they started. He had like a joke over dinner, like with Spielberg and a few other people. He's like, yeah, I might just make Darth Vader Luke's father. And they kind of laughed, and he's like, this might work, because as I said, he was so different in the beginning, because Darth Vader wasn't the Dark Lord of the Sith.
Mm-hmm.
He was a bounty hunter.
Yeah.
Who happened to use a lightsaber, because everybody did. But yeah, it was so different.
I was waiting for Lucas to get his ultimate revenge, and at the end of episode 3, revealed that Jar Jar Binks was actually Boba Fett.
That would have been awesome.
It would have been. You hate that character? Great. Look what we can do with him. That's what we did with him.
Because I've not seen anything.
That would have been a great. What do they call that? Exceeding or not? Circumventing expectations.
Yeah, I would
support
that so much. It would have been so good.
Tell me something. I've not seen any of this Mandalorian rogue. I've not seen any of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in the, I'll call it the third. It's the 6th. The I'm talking about the original, because I don't.
The original trilogy, yeah.
Yeah, the original. Right, the third one, Return of the Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
As I remember, tell me if I'm wrong. As I remember, Boba Fett gets eaten by that sandworm person.
Starlight Pit. Yep.
But then I see what happened. Did he get out of that?
Yeah.
Yeah, he basically was able to blast his way out.
Blast and crawl.
Yep.
It took him a while. It took him a while to get out.
Right.
Took him a long while.
So he's in there, and he wasn't being digested.
Well, the armor that he had on
totally digested. The armor was being broken down over time, but he was still in there.
Right.
The Mandalorian armor is a special metal that takes a lot of abuse, and in fact, it can deflect a lightsaber attack. That's why the Mandalorians used it and dressed up in it.
Right.
It's a factor in the early Mandalorian series that he ends up finding a bunch of that metal, and he's constantly bringing it back to a forger and making more armor.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, the best armor.
And then skipping to what I prefer to watch, Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why they did this, because this is just exactly the kind of thing I don't like. Why did they have to have Kirk showing us how he beat the Kobayashi Maru thing? Can't they? What? Well, I thought they showed how he did it in one of the films.
Oh, they did. No, I agree with you. They shouldn't have shown it.
Yeah, they should. Yeah. Why did this? Is what I'm saying. Why did they do this? Why did they? To me, it spoils it. We don't need to know what he did. He just did it.
They have yet to show a bathroom on the original Enterprise either, so we don't want to see that.
No,
I'm sure they'll get around to it eventually.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. It's just leave things alone. Just leave things alone.
They did show a bathroom on the Guardians of the Galaxy ship, the Milano or whatever. Yeah, they showed a bathroom on that one.
The first bathroom scene in space I remember seeing was on Babylon 5, and you didn't realize what it was
No, the
until
first.
until they were wiping their hands. They were standing there next to one another. You were wondering what the hell were they doing, and then they went over to this little cleansing light, and cleansed their hands off while they were talking. And it's like,
because that's when they were plotting. They were in the bathroom plotting.
The first bathroom scene, I think, is in 2001.
Yeah,
it was.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So,
well, I mean, one of the first time they showed a toilet like on screen is in Psycho.
Yeah,
really, yeah.
And people freaked out over it because they're like, not like people watching the movie, but people who are like the censors and all that. They're like, you can't show a bathroom. He's like, what do you mean I can't show a bathroom? I can't.
He rips up the note, doesn't he? And he puts it.
Yeah, she throws it in there and flushes it.
And there was a lot of triggering in Psycho anyway. So
I'm like, of all the things to complain about in Psycho.
Yeah.
Well, the thing about that scene, right, you know the scene of obviously the shower scene.
Yeah.
The question is that we have these pub quizzes, and I haven't been to one for a long time, but one of the questions was, and I didn't know that I knew it wasn't. I'll start again. When she's in the shower and you see the shadowy figure coming through the door, and then it kills her. The question was, who killed Janet Leigh in the shower in Psycho? And people were saying Tony Perkins, and it's not.
Nope.
That it's. I don't know the guy's name, but I couldn't put the guy's name, so I couldn't answer the question.
Yeah, I can't think of his name, but I know it wasn't him because he was filming something else.
That's right. Yeah, I think that scene was filmed in New York or something, and something was going on, but it's not Tony Perkins. The person, it's not Tony Perkins.
Yeah, he had to leave filming to do something else. That's why his face is covered.
Yeah, it's shadow, isn't it, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, he's got like nylon.
Thought that was part of the
face. So and then they shadowed it more.
Yeah, I always thought that was part of the dramatics from Hitchcock was keeping it mysterious.
Too, yeah. But that's like the practical reason of why they did it was to make sure you couldn't tell it wasn't Tony Perkins.
Yeah,
they had he literally had like nylon stockings over his head, something like that.
It's like in the we watched The Graduate the other night. The Graduate with Dustin Hoffman.
Mm-hmm. That's a great movie.
But on the I think it's on the advert. It's got the Mrs. Robinson character putting a stocking on her leg with Dustin Hoffman in the background. Well, do you know who those legs belong to on that photograph? They don't belong to
Anne Bancroft.
It's Linda Gray, Sue Ellen.
Ooh,
really?
I didn't know that.
Huh. Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah.
I wish my legs were that cool.
There you go.
Because in the film you do see her putting them on, but obviously, but on the movie poster that's Linda Gray.
Interesting. I didn't know that. Oh, that's like one of the other things that I was rewatching one of my favorite horror movies yesterday. I was rewatching Nightmare on Elm Street. Absolutely love the original Nightmare on Elm Street because it's so much more than. Okay, motorcycle went by. It's so much more than just a slasher movie.
Yeah.
It's like horror fantasy in a lot of ways with all the world building he did with it and everything. And it just happens to be done by a grindhouse, director. So.
Right.
But Lynn Shay is in the movie, and I was like, wait a minute, I never noticed that before. She's the teacher in the high school when they're teaching Shakespeare. I'm like, that's Lynn Shay. It's kind of like that realization when you realize Dan Aykroyd is in Indiana Jones in the Temple of Doom. You can't unsee it once it's mentioned.
You probably know this, but in The Graduate, Ben Murphy's in it.
Yeah.
And Richard Dreyfuss is in it.
Yep.
And he says, "Shall I get the cops?" He just 2 seconds.
It's just this, one-off scene. You're like, wait a minute.
Yeah. Well, you got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
But
yeah, no, this is something I loved about Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. It's like once you know Dan Aykroyd's in it, you know the scene, you can't unsee it.
Where is he?
He's near the very beginning when they're getting on the plane to leave. He's the guy who's telling Indiana Jones about the plane and everything, getting him on the plane.
Right.
And it's just like as soon as you can picture it, oh yeah, that's him.
When you go the opening of Temple of Doom, that takes place in the nightclub. Kathleen Kennedy's one of the dancers
Yep, she is.
in that. Yeah,
Yeah, she's one of the dancers.
along with Kate Capshaw. But
Oh,
yeah, she's in there.
Oh, and the hands of Michael Myers in the first Halloween film when he's going to murder his sister. That's was it Deborah Shea? I think it was basically Carpenter's girlfriend / wife who helped him create the films. That was her hand.
You know, in Inglourious Bastards when the German guy strangles the girl.
Mhm.
What's the German guy actor called who plays that fantastic part?
I'd have to look.
Oh,
Well, you know,
I know
he was nominated for an Oscar for that.
Yeah, and
too,
he was in James Bond later, wasn't he? And all
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
Well, those hands that are strangling that girl aren't his. That is Tarantino,
Okay.
and he is really strangling her because she
Oh.
complained, and and you can see her. It gets scary because he's strangling her, but he really did.
Yeah. It's like the chest bursting scene in Alien. Nobody was expecting that to happen.
Yeah, they
either,
didn't. They didn't fully tell the actors what was going to happen. with
That's
that
right.
scene.
Yeah, that's right.
And when what's her name gets hit in the face, it's real. When she gets hit with the blood in her face, that's like a real reaction.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Didn't Tarantino do similar in Kill Bill as well? Didn't he upset Uma Thurman with something that?
Yeah,
that
he did.
happened?
I
Probably
forget the
did, yeah.
scene, but
Yeah.
yeah, he did something similar in Kill Bill.
Yeah.
Return of the Jedi when Leia gets yanked by the chain around her neck.
Oh yeah.
That was real.
Oh,
that was a screw up.
oh dear.
They weren't supposed to pull it that hard because when she sees basically the reaction to the Rancor getting killed and Jabba pulls her back,
Yeah.
and she like goes, "What?" They pulled her a little bit too hard.
It's scary, isn't it? Scary.
And what was it? The movie about the magicians, the 4 magician thieves, basically. Now You See Me.
Okay.
One of the actors actually, she almost drowned when they were doing the water escape scene. Like they literally had to break the tank to get her out because they're like, that's not a. Oh no.
Oh damn.
That's really good acting there. That's really. Oh, wait a minute.
Wait
That's
a
not
second.
acting. Yeah.
I haven't seen
like
that.
scene in the Twilight Zone when the helicopter fell in. That's really.
Oh
Yeah.
Oh.
yeah.
Oh no.
Too soon.
Yeah, they were dead, weren't they?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Brandon
was that?
did some great acting in The Crow when he died. Oh.
I'm going to say in The Crow, I've not actually seen it, but doesn't he get shot or something and the gun was live or something? And
Yeah.
killed him?
Yeah,
Is that
it's-
Bruce Lee's son or something?
Yep.
Brandon. Yep.
Yeah, Brandon Lee.
Yeah, right.
There's a sequence when he's coming in the door to his apartment to his fiance is getting basically attacked. He comes in the door and the guy who was playing Fun Boy, I forget the actor's name, he passed away a few years ago, turns and shoots him on the way in, and he actually shot him because the gun wasn't cleaned properly, so the blank went off and it actually shot something out of it and killed him basically.
Wow.
And because it wasn't a metal piece, they had such a hard time getting out because it like ripped through his intestines and everything. They couldn't get it.
Wow.
And that's actually why he died.
But they didn't show that. Did they show the scene in the film?
No, it's never been in the film, and the only cut of it was they had at the basically at all the court stuff for it. It was given to Eliza, which was Brandon Lee's. It was either his fiance or wife at the time, and then it was destroyed.
Okay.
So they filmed it.
They did film it. It was on film.
Oh, wow.
And the pieces, anyone who says they've seen it, they're lying. Because it was only shown basically, you had to be in those court procedures or Eliza. And from what I understand, I don't believe she's seen it. And she might have seen it, but it might have been just during the court thing. But I know it's been destroyed.
Wouldn't want to see that. Yeah.
No, it's
Somebody
the person
would,
that she
wouldn't
loves getting killed.
But didn't that Baldwin guy shoot that girl?
Yeah, that was almost the exact same thing that happened.
What's happened with that?
I know it's still in the
is it
court.
still going on?
No, they just, from what I heard, they dismissed the charges against. There's some
Baldwin.
charges against Baldwin,
Yes.
but they're very, very minor at this point. They've worked them down to like next to nothing.
I mean, he didn't do it on purpose, did he? He didn't do it on
Well,
purpose.
No, he didn't do it on purpose.
No, it was literally the same thing. The gun wasn't properly taken care of, and
Right.
when it was fired, it was literally an accident.
Wow.
But I mean, who's ever the person in charge of firearms? I can't think of there's a specific name for it. In movies of basically the person who handles that stuff.
Yeah.
The weapons handler, yeah.
Yeah, I can't think of the name of it, but yeah, they basically
They're in charge of it. Yeah.
there was some type of an issue between it was taken from the lockup to them, like it hadn't been properly cleaned. Somebody had fired it initially. There was lots of things with these dummy rounds before they went into it that there was a horrible oversight.
It's terrible, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah,
That's probably ruined his career. But anyway.
Welcome to the film hour, folks. This is
Yes.
basically, we're
Funnies.
talking about movies.
Yeah.
And,
No,
well, I
this
mean,
is
at least
the
we're talking about a lot of
we're
comics.
supposed to be
This
talking
is-
about the greatest comics of all time.
this is the I digress
Yeah.
version of the show.
Yeah. Well, I have to say, The Crow, it was an amazing comic book. It's one of my
It was.
favorites.
Yep.
I
Remember
actually
doing
quoted and the short story I was doing.
a Motor City Con here in Detroit, and James had just had gotten back from the set and had books and books of photos on display, and he had that twinkle in his eye that he was so excited because that movie was just dead on to what he had envisioned and what he wanted to see on screen. And then less than a week later, Brandon had his accident.
Oh wow.
He donated all of his money.
Yeah.
He didn't.
When was that?
take
That was in
anything.
the 90s, wasn't it?
1994.
Wow.
Well, it happened in 1992, I think. I was a sophomore in high school. I was literally waiting for the bus with a friend of mine when I found out about it. And my friend Mike, who was waiting at the bus stop, it was cold. I remember that because I was complaining about my skirt for my school uniform. And he's just like, yeah. And he was just like, he's like, that actor you like, Brandon Lee, he got like killed. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
And he literally ran over to the convenience store across the street and grabbed the paper to show me, and I was like wrecked because I thought he was really cute, and that ruined my day. So,
Ruined his day.
yeah, I would say so too. But, he was already dead, so it couldn't have ruined his day anymore.
Well,
Yeah.
Anyway, favorite comics. Which is your favorite comic, Randy? Of all
Me?
time. You.
Of all the greatest comic of all time.
Yeah.
That's really difficult for me to pin down. So that's why I kind of used it as a subject matter. I said everything that we rolled by there in the opening there for Sunday Funnies. That's that's it for me. The Batman, giant size Batman with all Dick Sprang artwork in it was the comic. I had my rear end beaten for with a coal shovel for smuggling a superhero book into the house. The Twilight Zone digest that goes by is the Twilight Zone digest that I burned because it's got a story in it of a guy making a deal with the devil. My parents said if I burned that book, I could buy superhero comics. So there's a Gutferson Mickey Mouse there. There's an early Buck Rogers there that I remember fondly. Those Frazetta covers on Famous Funnies just had a big effect on my youth whenever I saw them reprinted and like a comics buyer's guide or whatever. They're just amazing stuff. And Killraven had a big effect on me growing up, especially watching the evolution of it going from Neil Adams and the Krusty Bunkers to Herb Trimpe, who was doing the Hulk at the time and going, this is a giant rat thing coming in and attacking Killraven in Washington, D.C. It was crazy. And then to see it do a complete 180 and have Don McGregor and P. Craig Russell come up on that title and just show people what comics are about. This is sequential art, just well written, well drawn, just beautiful stuff. The early Shadows with William Kaluta that Kaluta did, just amazing stuff you stare at for hours. In his Carson of Venus, I think is also just phenomenal stuff. DC's got both of those companies have so much just unbelievably phenomenal work that you never see around anymore, that they don't reprint it often enough or keep it in print enough for people to enjoy. That's but when you have to figure out one, it's, you know, you can't. Manhunter for me, the Simonson Goodwin Manhunter, we covered that in Comics by Night. That had a profound effect on me in my youth. I just love that story and have read it multiple times. Watchmen, that we're currently going over now, I think is just a high point masterpiece of work. And yeah, it's like I said, it's really difficult when you love the art form just to pin it down to the
Where do you put Miller's Batman with Watchmen? Which
I don't put Miller's Batman very high.
Right.
Dark Knight, I think, was more of a detriment to the industry than any kind of showcase. I think it was a prelude to his Sin City material. That Sin City is really an exaggeration or the next step from Dark Knight, and he admits that it was just pulp violence. You know, Sin City was. Sin City, I think, is an important work. Ronin, I think, that he did earlier than that is a much more important work and a much more meaningful work. Though I haven't read it in years, I've got it sitting here on my pile to read and to reread, because I haven't read it since it came out. But I do remember it fondly. The thing with Miller I remember most fondly, though, is his Daredevil in the first appearance of Elektra, because that book was one of those books that you looked at over and over and over again. This worked really well. This is amazing to see. And it's just a really great piece of sequential artwork. Just like Giant Size X-Men #1, the Dave Cockrum story in the front of that had a big effect on me when I was a kid, because here Xavier wheels around and collects all these bizarre characters that are just phenomenal. And you want to know so much more about them. It's I remember that I couldn't wait to see when I found out they were going to do regular X-Men again with the, you know, and continue Giant Size 1 into, I think it was 94, X-Men 94, because I couldn't find 95 anywhere, and it drove me nuts.
Yeah, because 95 was a Death of Thunderbird.
I searched for it all over the place. I ended up having to order it. I didn't get it in. I didn't order it from Canada. I didn't get it back or in my hands until after 98 had come out, and X-Men at that point was bi-monthly. So you'd get the book, you'd read the book that day, in the, you know, like the first half hour that you had the book, and then you'd go, I gotta wait 2 months for to get to the next one. You know,
it didn't start going monthly again until after basically like issue
when Byrne came in.
Yeah, 107, 108. Yeah, right around there.
But it was that was a big part of my youth. That I literally took my copy of Giant Size 1, and it was in shreds before I replaced it. And then when I went to replace it, I was so mad because I had to pay $8 for it. You know, in order to get a replacement copy. That copy I've still got here, and that's in pieces as well. But
my first copy of Giant Size X1 was $100. So I'm jealous that you
number, Alison? What number did Neil Adams come in on X-Men?
On X-Men, he
69,
started in the
60s. Yeah,
no, it was earlier than that, because he did the first appearance of Havoc, which I believe is 48.
48.
And I think he did an issue or so right around then too.
Yeah, because he walked into the interview I read. He said he walked into the Marvel offices, wanted to take over one of the books. He says, "Give me your lowest seller so that I can play with it without too much editorial interference." And he just took it and ran.
The same thing that Steranko did.
Yeah,
Steranko walked in, and is like, "What do you want?" And he's and what's your lowest? And they gave him Nick Fury, which was like it wasn't even Nick Fury's book at the time. It was
Strange Tales.
Strange Tales, and they forced him to draw like Kirby.
Yeah.
Well, that's not really true. They didn't force him to draw like Kirby. Kirby did the layouts. So
yeah, he went in and did roughs. Yeah,
Kirby roughed it out. Steranko complains about it. So
I swear the first Conan's the same way.
Yes,
because you look at the splash page of Conan, and he's got this hand out.
Yeah.
Like that, that's solid Kirby.
But don't forget, before that, he'd done, was it Avengers and Daredevil as well, like Kirby, and it was awful, wasn't it, Barry Smith? Before he got that. But Kirby did that with his New Gods, didn't he, when he was introducing it in Jimmy Olsen. He took the lowest selling book.
Yeah, and then they still went through They still went over him and redrew all of the Superman heads.
Oh, that's
every one of his faces they
Yeah.
redrew. That pisses
that's
me off.
criminal.
But there's a great story out there. Keith Giffen, when he first broke into the business, they had him doing a bunch of filler work at Marvel, and John Romita, who was the art director at the time, told him he needed to draw like Kirby.
Yeah.
So that's what he did. He went and drew like an incredibly tight Kirby. There are a couple of issues of Defenders out there that looks like if you took the Golden Age Kirby and had them draw Defenders, that's exactly what it looks like. There's a fill-in issue of Killraven that's exactly like that too, where he gets to draw all of these Marvel characters and like hyped up futuristic looks to him, more angry and dark and evil type looks. Killraven was tripping at the time, but he did all of that work, and he went back to Romita. Romita said, "Dude, you're doing great, but I got one complaint. Says you draw too much like Jack Kirby."
You probably meant work the story out like Kirby did. Didn't mean square fingers.
He was talking dynamics and storytelling,
Yeah.
and doing things the Marvel way, pretty much. And Giffen took him literally and started drawing, exactly like Kirby. And you take it, he left from there over to Legion of Superheroes, and that run, that Paul Levitz wrote, that Giffen drew, is the Darkness Saga was part of that. That's amazing. And Levitz at the time had watched Hill Street Blues quite a bit, was a big fan of that kind of pacing, and he brought that to the Legion, and he split the Legion up into different groups and was constantly sending them off on different adventures. So you had an A, B, and C story pretty much running through every issue. That was fascinating because he was keeping track, and Legion is like 20 characters.
Yeah.
So he was spinning 5 off that way, 6 off that way, 7 over here, and then somebody else was having a problem over here, and he kept all that straight for about 2 years, I think it was. It's just amazing stuff. Just great comics.
Oh, I'm gonna have to get running because Sketchy Saturday's coming up like in 10
About
minutes.
that time.
So,
This is still Sunday. It's Mother's Day.
well, it's true. It's Sunday. Sunday is Mother's Day. I'm talking from the future.
Glenn makes that mistake all the time.
All the time.
Allison has to
As
go
if-
back
as
in the
if no-
past nowadays.
Yes,
and
I
as
have
if-
to
as if
get in my DeLorean and go.
Sketchy Saturdays, yeah.
But as if nobody knows.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nobody.
They haven't
worked it
been
out.
reading that banner down there. No chat today. The program was pre-recorded.
Yeah.
Allison, thank you so much for being with us. Tell folks how they can find you.
Well, I appreciate it. I love you guys. I love hanging out with you too. Gives me different perspectives in comics that I really enjoy.
Everybody sees this business in a different context,
Yeah.
It's all, and because it's such a nostalgic love or passion, I should say, we all have different viewpoints.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree.
So
But
it should be.
you can find me on pretty much every social media. My link tree should be down in the description. And I'm here on Fridays at 3 p.m. Eastern Time with Arting with the Alley Cat. And I'm part of this wonderful group of gentlemen. And Sketchy Saturdays now, apparently. So
There you
I
are.
will be seeing you all later. And you guys have a great one.
I need to crash that party sometime real soon.
You should.
Sit
You
there.
both- you
So I
really
was on the
both
first
should.
one, and I haven't been on one since. And they were all like, "Well, hey, we didn't know you drew that fast." I'm like,
You both should be on it. Just saying,
draw.
Glenn's
Yeah.
art is amazing.
Yeah,
Oh, thank
And
you.
Randy, your art is so much fun.
thank
And
you.
I have to do your robot guy.
Yes, you do.
I
Can't
will be
wait.
doing that probably when I finish up my nightmare short story. But
All right.
all right. Well, see you guys later.
I should
ya.
hire you to do a cover.
I would love
That's what
to.
I should do. We'll talk
right.
later. In
Yep,
the
see
meantime,
ya.
you take care. Have a great show.
You
See
too.
ya.
Bye.
See ya. Should do that. Doodle-doo, doodle-doo, doodle-doo.
Yeah.
Now she's back in time. Folks, you've been watching Sunday Funnies, even though we've been talking about movies and everything else. We were trying to talk about the greatest comics of all time. But, there's so many great ones out there, folks. That's why I love doing this program. That's why I love doing these shows where we look at all that stuff, Comics by Night. And if you haven't watched Comics by Night, go back and take a look. Our numbers were way low for the second episode. First episode were real good. And
Wow.
then the numbers from Friday's show were a little soft. So, folks, you need to go back and watch that, especially if we're going to keep doing it
Yeah.
On a
We might not
regular
get there.
basis. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll have to change the thumbnail too, because I think the thumbnail was too close to the first one. So
Yeah. Maybe
we'll go through and see.
Well, there's another 10 episodes to go.
Yeah.
Maybe. Well, like I said, I might be in the United States when the final two are on, so that'll be good.
We'll try to move through it faster.
I don't know where I'll be, but
yeah. Just so that we can get on to some more stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's worth going over, I think. It's
how long are you going to be here in the States?
I'm looking at 3 weeks.
Okay. So there'll be 3 sets of shows. We're going to have to make something up.
Yeah, but it depends when I go, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It depends what day I go, but yeah. So I'm sure
get you
you'll
on your
survive.
phone or your laptop or something. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
we'll figure it out.
I'm sure you'll survive.
Just like this show. Folks, we've been pre-recorded today just because today's Mother's Day. And my wife wants to do something this morning, and that's what we're going to do. So, but we appreciate you listening in. Hope you've behaved yourself in the chat. And if you haven't, we'll know, and we'll be looking for you. So take care. We want to thank Nita a lot and hope that C gets better real soon. Thank Nita from the Indie Comics Network for posting this in a timely fashion and keeping the lights on this channel.
Get well soon.
Yeah, get well, C. Get well soon. And folks, you can catch us this Friday over at Comics by Night, 5 a.m. on the Indie Comics Network, or we're archived over there. You don't have to catch us live if you don't want to. But if you catch us, but you should. Absolutely, you should, and so that you can be part of that chat. Yeah. There's some great stuff. You know how good Watchmen is, and we're going through it pretty much page by page in black and white form, so you don't want to miss it over there. Comics by Night, 5 a.m., Indie Comics Network, or over on my Facebook page. When I'm awake enough to jump over there and change it from private to public, because these silly Facebook algos won't do it on its own. But other than that, folks, again, we appreciate you being here. Glenn, tell folks how they can find you.
Yeah, on the usual places, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, places like that. But you can, in the next couple of weeks, you'll be able to get me here, which is my book about Jack Kirby, my visit to his house. It's been printed by New Haven Publishing, and you can get it in all stores like Barnes & Noble in America, Waterstones in England, and all major bookstores throughout the world, so I'm told. And it's also going to be on Amazon. I think you can pre-order it now, so check it out. And then in the summer, New Haven 2 are going to be publishing the second edition of my Hatch character, so look out for that. And also you can get me in the page of Comics Unlimited, which is a 100-page magazine every couple of months, which deals with comics articles. Randy's got an article in it. Russ Leach is interviewed in the latest issue. This is number 1, by the way. The issue out now is number 12, and you can pick up all those on my page on Amazon. So check it out.
Yep, definitely do that. The last 3 issues have got a history of Arrow Comics article in it, as we look at Arrow Comics through the years, from the 80s all the way up to this next issue. Will have everything up to date. An article for all of Arrow Comics right up to modern times. So hopefully if I can get that to you in time for your deadline. Don't let me be late.
I won't.
I'll blame you. Folks, I've been your host, Randy Zimmerman. You can find my work over at arrowcomics.store. Please go over there and take a look, where you can pick up copies of like Calico Shard, which is great artwork by C. Michael Lanning. It's a high fantasy tale about a group of oddball characters that decide to try to put their world back together, literally, as well as Paragon, which is a superhero story that I've done that's got a great twist at the end of it. We hope you enjoy that too. It's my love for the superhero genre, and most importantly, HeroBot Zero. So the cartoon adventures of a 3-foot-tall giant robot that a young boy has created that in order to defend his city from incredibly large menaces or other such terrors. Only now he has to do it on the clock or get time and a half for hazard pay. It's got a very nasty attitude. Second issue is also available up there as we speak, with a cover by somebody called Scott Rosema.
Otherwise known as the Scarlet Pimpernel.
Yeah, the Scarlet Pimpernel. Sometimes he's here, sometimes he's not. But anyway, folks, we deeply appreciate you watching the show today. Next week will be live, we promise. This week I wasn't planning on being recorded, but happy wife, happy life.
So they say.
I can say that now because I know she's out of the house shopping. So it's all good. Folks, take care. Buy independent and alternative comics, especially ours. Russ, we'll see you next time around. He was busy today and couldn't be part of the recording, but we deeply appreciate him. And you'll see him over on Comics by Night on Friday, hopefully, if he remembers. And I'm sure he will.
I think he will.
He's
busy, isn't he?
Anything else we need to say?
No, I don't think so. I think that's about it.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next week, next Sunday.
Now comes the part where we throw our heads back and laugh. Ready?
Ready! The cops are doing their job as long as they don't be mean to people who are actually being innocent. Then I'm all gravy, baby.
We're all gravy, baby.
Who is that girl?
I have no idea. She was at a TV program and she was so unique. I had to catch it.
Oh, brilliant.
We have this too from the news broadcast. Let's not forget.
And, who's your favorite Marvel Comics hero? Mine is Superman. Remember the motto? With great power comes great responsibility.
I'm sure that's Sigourney Weaver's sister, you know.
Probably. Don't doubt it. Folks, take care. We're going out with a couple of bumps and then we'll be on our way. Have a great Sunday. Have a great Mother's Day. Treat your mom right.
Yeah. See you soon.
That's all I want to say. Take care, everyone. We'll see you. And here's another list of my favorite comics of all time. Here we go.
Okay.
The views and opinions expressed within the video content found on the Indie Comics Network are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of the Indie Comics Network or its sponsors.
Oh, I was expecting more than that. Here we go.
Have a question or comment for us to address on the show? Have a topic you want us to talk about? Email us at indiecomicsnetwork@gmail.com. Want your comics to arrive in pristine condition? Head over to GeminiComicSupply.com and save 10% on your next Gemini mailer order or anything in the Gemini Comics Supply store. Use coupon code RAGIN10. That's RAGIN 10.
Can you hammer a 6-inch spike through a board with your penis?
Not right now.
A girl's gotta have her standard.
For standards.
Bye, Jack.
We really shook the pillars of heaven, didn't we, Wayne?
No horse shit, Jack.
No horse shit.